Hello, friends. Welcome to this live stream, and we have a very important subject to discuss. And the subject is called Kessler effect. And this is a very interesting subject, and therefore you can indulge with me live. You can actually express your opinion, and also stick around till the end because this is related to the existence or future of humanity. We know that humans have been evolving for a very long time, and our technology is actually improving as the day passes. And one of the technology that we use very effectively are the satellites. And in fact, the satellites have become so much important in our life today that we cannot imagine our existence without the satellites. We give credit of various kinds to our satellites. Things like even communication. A basic communication may not be possible if there is no satellite communication satellite on top. And there are countries which are involved in providing these satellite technology to countries who do not have. But by and large, every country today needs a communication satellite either of their own or they rent it out from another country. So communication has become absolutely important, and this is all done by satellites. Whether you like it or you don't like it, but today all the mobile phones, all the communication devices are going through a satellite network, which is on the top of your head in this space, lower Earth orbit. What else is happening because of satellite? So GPS is also another technology without which we cannot even survive on the surface of Earth. From traveling from point A to point B, we would need to use the GPS satellites, and without the GPS satellites we cannot travel. And GPS is much more prevalent because using GPS there are a lot of navigations. The ships actually perform navigations, and if they are in the ocean, then you can actually find your way using the GPS satellites, and they will actually guide you where to go. So there's a whole lot of satellite network which is required all around the globe, which is guiding every human being. And without the GPS you will not be able to travel to your destination. Therefore GPS is a very important technology, and we entirely depend on satellites. Then there are other activities that countries indulge in, that is defense and security, to monitor their boundaries, and also to look at security infrastructure, what is going on, which submarine is attacking which country, which ship is traveling to which area. So all of that, whether you are on land or you are on in the ocean, the entire tracking of what is coming, what is going, any contraband item is entering, any nefarious activity going on. So basically the security is an important activity, and it also maintain your sovereignty. So each country depends heavily on satellite technology to maintain their security and also sovereignty. So you can imagine, in a democratic environment, this is such an important activity without which countries will not be able to exist even. Without the help of satellites and this kind of navigation and also defense services, the countries will not exist. So we heavily depend on satellites to provide us all these things, all these functions. What else? We also depend on satellites when it comes to exploration. So it's not only the exploration in the outer space, the exploration of oceans, exploration of mountains, exploration, looking into the forest fires, exploring whether what is the anomaly with regard to gravity on Earth, what changes are happening with our core, all kinds of things we monitor from up there, from the space, using our specialized satellite. So even for exploration, the satellites are paramount. And so I'm actually explaining these activities so that you know that the importance of satellite, it's so much. Our day-to-day activities will not be possible if we do not have satellites in the sky. And that is also true for internet. So today internet has become a global phenomena where you and I are connected. I'm live right now, and you can see me, you can actually send your questions, etc. So all of this is being provided by a very robust network which we call internet, and the entire internet is being hosted by the satellite networks. So if there were no satellite, there'll be no internet as we know it today. And therefore, even for sending a small message, a SMS, we are dependent on satellites today. So the satellites have become a very, very important aspect of our society, our culture, whichever country you live in, whichever social strata you belong to. So satellites have become very important. But scientists also know that when we send satellite, we have to be responsible. We have to make sure that there is some sort of self-destruct put in those, because what happens is if the satellite runs out of its fuel or it become obsolete, we don't want to leave it up there. We want to bring it down back on Earth. And when we try to bring it down back on Earth, there are different techniques, and the safest technique is the re-entry. So since these satellites are moving at very, very high speed, when they re-enter, they burn up in the atmosphere. So these satellites are designed in such a way that after humans give the command, they are able to change their trajectory and re-enter into atmosphere at high speed so that they burn up. And they are also made of such material. So this trend has started not long ago. Prior to this trend, or prior to this understanding of this particular thing, the many satellites were sent previously, which are still up there, and they are adding to they don't have the technology of re-entry, and since they do not have technology of re-entry, they are actually adding it to something called space debris. And there are many space debris. The space debris is something that we have to keep track. Why? Because they are like a projectile moving at very high speed, and when we keep track of space debris, then our future space missions can avoid these relic of the past, which are still roaming around in the lower Earth orbit. Why these things are a problem? These things are a problem because they are moving around in the orbit at such a high speed, 25,000 kilometers per second. 25,000 kilometers per second is almost 5 to 6 times the speed of a bullet. So you can imagine a small speck of space debris moving at such rapid speeds. If they collide with something, the collision will be huge. It will turn into a huge explosion because so much energy will be released from this collision. So we know that space debris can be very dangerous for a space probe in the space. And so far, there has been many satellites which have come down, which have been brought down deliberately by the scientists so that they don't add up to in the existing space debris. But still, there is a lot of space debris which is up there in the orbit. And once in a while these space debris collide. As I said, they create a huge collisions and all that. However, they can be much more problematic. The problem can multiply if the space debris start colliding and start a sort of chain reaction. And when the chain reaction start, and just to explain, chain reaction is that when explosion happens, it actually induce another collision. So one collision will lead to another one, another 3 collisions, and then it will lead to further collision. So this is the chain reaction. So if the chain reaction of debris start, the debris will start multiplying, because after each collision, the debris will break down into multiple smaller debris. They further keep colliding with each other, and if the chain reaction continues, it'll be very hard to stop, and it may continue forever. We don't know how to stop this kind of a space debris chain reaction, and if it starts. A bit of it you would have seen. They have tried to show in the movie Gravity, Christopher Nolan movie. But this, believe it or not, this effect is identified way back in 60s by this very intelligent scientist called Donald Kessler. He was a scientist at NASA, and he actually predicted this effect way back in 60s. And because of his calculations, this effect, or this collision of debris and chain reaction of debris collisions in space is known as Kessler's effect. And this is a real thing, friends. This Kessler effect can be devastating. If you remember the scenes shown in the movie Gravity, they have actually tried to show that how devastating this could be, because if a small speck of debris collides with your space station, it can puncture right through, because they are moving at very high speed, and 6 to 7 times the speed of the bullet. They can puncture right through, and they can create vacuum in an instant, and probably kill all the astronauts which are present on the inside the spaceship. So I think this is something which is very, very real. The Kessler effect, today's space scientists are keeping track of the Kessler effect, and in fact there has been recent damage recorded on board of ISS. On the ISS, there is this robotic arm that you see here, which helped astronauts to carry out different operations while they are in space. And there is one collision that happened, and it punctured the hole through this very hard material. This is made of a hard material. This is a robotic arm, and space debris collided with the robotic arm, puncturing a hole through and through in the robotic arm. So this is real. This is happening. We have to be very careful about sending satellites. So the very fact that these satellites, which are being sent out to space to basically enable so many different services which are required by all human beings across the planet. And also, if we want to basically geotag animals, so to keep the population, to know the population of animals also, like lions and killer whales, etc., we depend on satellite networks. So I think this is something which is so important. However, in order to grow further, we need to send more satellites. We know that there are a lot of companies which are engaged in creating a huge satellite network, like Starlink, and there are a few more which are going to send their satellite network so that continuous communication can be provided, and further high-speed network can be provided in the form of global internet. And each company has done their own calculations, and based on that, they are sending their satellite. So more satellite in the space, we are actually multiplying this problem. However, companies like Starlink, they are saying that they are responsible, and when their satellites land into some trouble, they are designed to re-enter by themselves and burn up. They are made of special material which will burn up in the upper atmosphere itself, and nothing will come down on Earth. And so most of the new satellites are following this strategy, where they don't want to increase the space debris because everybody is scared of Kessler effect. At the same time, there is already a lot of debris present, because there is something that's we cannot always control. What, even a small bolt can be left, which can create a chain reaction, cascading chain reaction of debris collision in the space. So we have absolutely no idea, because our space journey has started only 50-60 years back. So we do not know how this Kessler effect will start and when it will end, if it starts. So something which is something new for all of us to understand. But the whole point is that we need satellites, we need space probes to go up, and basically that will add to our growth. But there are so many space debris already floating in our lower Earth orbit. This is sort of creating a sort of a barrier for our future space flights, future satellites. So if there is a lot of debris up in the space, we will not be able to send any future satellite. This space debris will block us from sending future satellites. So we understand this problem. So the scientists today are actively tracking 30,000 space debris which we can track, but I think the actual number may be many times more than 30,000. So 30,000 space junk being tracked, and whenever we send our new satellites or manned space mission, we keep ourselves away from these 30,000 space debris. There is no way to clean them also. There is no way to bring them down or to destroy them up there in the space, because destroying them is not a solution, because the space debris will simply become smaller pieces, even become more dangerous. So the method to bring it down back on Earth is not very clear. However, we are actively tracking 30,000 space debris at the moment, and we are also ensuring that we do not add to this problem. And if we are not very prudent, then the future space launch will be totally impossible. We will not be able to send our astronauts and future satellites with latest technology in future, which will prevent our future development. So you can imagine, the space debris can be such such a negative impact on our future growth, because we're talking about nanotechnology, we're talking about spreading into different planets, etc., etc. But if we are not able to leave Earth, none of this thing will happen. So because of this, space debris or the Kessler effect is being looked at very closely. We don't want to we want to control the space debris, or probably completely eradicate any space debris which we create because of our current growth in space. Well, if we do not, then the space debris will completely trap human on Earth forever. We will never be able to leave the surface of the Earth. However advanced we are, or probably we will never be able to grow further, just because there is space debris preventing our future growth. So friends, thanks for watching, and I will catch you the next one.